So in this video, we're going to be going over what are actually the 3 best assault rifles inside the Vanguard multiplayer based off of actual stats taken from the game. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We've already posted tons of extra content for Vanguard over there already. Now, like I said, we're going to be using stats to actually get our decisions for these best 3 assault rifles. So we've got a few to choose from. So we've got the STG, which is probably the most popular because it's the first one you unlock, the Automation, the ITRA Burst, the BAR or bar, the AS44, and the NZ41, and then the VOLK, which I'm just going to call the VOLK. Now, the next thing I want to quickly just show you is that there's a few different ammo types that change the actual damage profile of the weapon. So if we quickly go on the STG, and the same kind of applies to all the assault rifles, you've got a couple of different ammo types, and as you can see here, if you show the in-game stats, it shows that the damage does change depending on which one of these ammos you use. So like I said, that is something we factored in when we were calculating the stats for these weapons. Now, the only other thing that can actually affect damage overall is the barrels. Now, we didn't really test the barrels because we'll make a separate video on this later on today about what are the best barrels to use. But as you can see here, when you flick through all the different barrels, you'll see when we get to the 620mm precision barrel on the STG, it changes the damage to 22, which obviously we've seen with some of the ammunition types, but also changes the vital damage. Now, what the vital damage is actually the headshot damage. So when you see vital damage anywhere, it just means headshot damage. And then also you'll see that the rapid barrel increases the fire rate. But again, like I said, we will be making separate videos on this anyway. Another thing I want to quickly mention is that the stats that we're actually testing and looking for to kind of justify what is the best assault rifle for Vanguard is mainly TTK and recoil, because everything else doesn't really matter. Bullet velocity doesn't matter, vehicle damage doesn't really matter, damage range doesn't really matter either, unless it was Warzone, for example. Inside regular multiplayer, 7v7, 6v6, whatever you want to call it, the only thing that really matters is TTK, recoil, and then maybe some of your handling kind of stats. So of course it wouldn't be a stats video without any spreadsheets in it, and what we did is we took all the rate of fires and the damage values from the game, providing that they are correct, which I'm kind of hoping they are, to be honest. We've got the rate of fires listed here, we've got the base damage values, and then we've also got the vital damage, which is essentially headshots, but I just left it called vital damage so it corresponds with the game easier. And we've got all the ammunition types as well for each of the weapons. And what we wanted to do was plug in like a TTK calculator, essentially, mainly for the base damage. Now, we've not included that vital damage in the TTK because it doesn't really make sense. So we're mainly focusing on the base damage as well. And what we're going to do is sort this in terms of TTK. And as you can see, we've got our 3 best rifles right here. And we're going to take a look at their TTK values, of course. So we've got the BAR with the 50 BMG ammo type. The rate of fire is pretty slow, to be completely honest, but the base damage is 68, which is absolutely insane, giving you a TTK of 164 milliseconds, and that's a 2-shot kill. That's absolutely ridiculous. Now, the damage per second is pretty slow, as expected with that kind of rate of fire, but a 2-shot kill, that's ridiculous. Then we've got the VOLK with the rushing short ammo. Now, it's got almost a 700 rounds per minute fire rate right there. We've got 37 for the base damage, and the TTK is not far off at all of that BAR assault rifle as well. This is a 3-shot kill. Considering that it's got almost double the rate of fire, a 3-shot kill is definitely very good, and that's probably why this gun will be very useful too. And then we've got the STG, and we all know that STG has low recoil, and with that 8mm ammo, you've got the fastest fire rate out of the bunch. We've got a 29 damage profile for the base damage anyway, and it's a 204 millisecond TTK, and that's a 4-shot kill. Now, it's still not too bad, it's not far off of the other 2 weapons. So what we're going to do here is a bit of a recoil test for all 3 of these weapons. I'm just going to make sure I'm about this distance away from this wall right here, and we're going to fire it, then we're going to try and control it, and we're going to do that for all 3 weapons side by side to see which one is the easiest to control. And then what we'll do is we'll show you the builds that we actually used after that. So we'll fire this weapon. So as you can see, the STG is relatively accurate. It does go up to the right, back to the left, and then to the right again. Bit weird to try and control, to be honest. But because it's so tightly packed together, it should be not too bad. So as you've seen there, I was managed to get it in this little small cluster right here. So it's actually quite easy to control overall. And it kind of just goes up and to the right. So if we hold up, down and to the left a little bit, you can get that kind of recoil pattern. So next up we have the bar assault rifle, and we're going to do the same test here as well. This gun is so broken, it's actually unreal, man. That is ridiculous. So you don't even need to pull the analog stick down for the bar because it's actually just so broken, it's ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. We've got the VOLK assault rifle as well. So let's do the test on this one. So the VOLK's recoil looks a bit crazy, let's be honest. It's kind of all over the place. There's a lot of visual recoil on the gun as well. We'll try and control it. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the best, but let's try and control it. I mean, it's actually not that hard to control, let's be completely honest. So looking at the recoil, it does go up crazy to the left. I tried just pulling down and to the right, and we kind of got it relatively accurate. I would say, obviously, besides the bar, the STG is a relatively accurate weapon as well. So the builds we were using was the Mercury silencer for the sound suppression and the recoil control. We're using the Carver foregrip for the recoil control and hipfire accuracy. We're using the Russian short ammo, which is the one that we have to use to get that fast TTK. We're using the hollow point rounds, which increases your limb damage, therefore giving you a more consistent TTK as well, which is definitely going to be really handy. We're using the fabric grip, and that's so you can get a faster aim down sight as well as a faster sprint to fire time. Then we're using the Perfectionist to control the recoil. So even though we did use the Perfectionist proficiency, which is really hard to say by the way, we still got a crazy recoil pattern with this gun. For the kit we used on hand, you can use fully loaded, it doesn't really matter. It's not really going to change the stats of the weapon because this is just extra kind of like perks. Then for the stock, we were actually using the adjustable stock, and that's for the faster movement speeds. You can go for maybe a recoil controlling stock like the S12V. That might help with the recoil a little bit more. It does help with side-to-side recoil, so you could go for that. But I didn't want to hinder the movement speed way too much because then it would just make the weapon not usable practically when you're in game and just slowing the whole weapon down. And then we use the Model 47 optic. You can choose whatever optic you like if you want, but some of them do affect the stats. And then we skipped over the barrel, as I've stated before, because we don't want to talk about barrels in this video. And I wouldn't really recommend barrels for the most part anyway. At number 2, we have the STG, and that is because it has pretty low recoil. It's got the third best TTK in the game. And if you build it like this, you're going to get those stats like I mentioned. So we use the MX silencer in this case, and it's going to give you the sound suppression as well as that accuracy. It reduces your side-to-side recoil. Then we use the Carver foregrip once again. This is probably the best foregrip in my opinion. Then we use the Kurz 45 round drum, so you can get the largest mags as well as getting the one that does the most damage. We use the hollow point rounds once again, and that is so you can get the consistent TTK like I mentioned. Fabric grip once again. We use the vital proficiency, and that's so that you get increased critical areas for your critical shots, I suppose. And then we've got the fully loaded perk, and we use precision, and that's going to help with the horizontal recoil and the aim down sight speed. And then we've also got the Model 47 optic on there as well. And last but not least, we have the most broken AR in the game right now, which is the bar. And you want to build it like this exactly to get like the most broken build. So Mercury silencer for the sound suppression, you also get the recoil control. Carver foregrip for the recoil control and the hipfire accuracy. Not that the hipfire accuracy is going to be all that important with this weapon anyway. You need to use the BMG 30 round mags. You can go for the 20 rounds if you want, but I feel like you might as well just go for the 30 rounds. You're already slowing down the weapon by using the 20 anyway. And this is the magazine attachment that's going to give you that ridiculous TTK. Then we've got the hollow point rounds once again for the increase to limb damage, like you need more damage on this weapon anyway. Then we've got the fabric grip, which is going to help with your aim down sight and your sprint to fire. We've got hard scope, which reduces the recoil a ton on this weapon. It actually just gives it pretty much 0 recoil, so you need to make sure you use this. Then we've got fully loaded on here. You can use whatever you want in this case. For the wire stock, for the stock we're using the wire stock, and that's for the faster sprint to fire and faster movement. The recoil is already non-existent. You don't need any more recoil controlling attachments. And then we use the Model 47 once again because it's the cleanest optic in the game, and that is the best assault rifle in the game right now. So there you have it. Those are the best 3 assault rifles in the game. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to sub to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We've posted tons of content over there as well. And thank you very much for watching.